Welcome back to another episode of PremoDonnas. I am Imperium,
Hi, Mishka.
and I didn't have a follow-up thought after that.
I thought you did. That's
No,
okay.
I honestly, I'm moving on Sunday, so
Right.
I am at the shortest fuse I think I've ever had in my entire life. People are like throwing new information at me, and I'm like, I'm not absorbing any of this. Right now, I am simply a vessel. And I will circle back to vessel because we are going to be talking about the new sleep token. But Mishka, first,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm finally in my new office. So
Hooray!
exciting. My backdrop here.
It's very cute.
It's still a little makeshift, but like it'll get better slowly over time. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, no, I'm good. I worked today, made some money, which was great.
We love.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually there doing like event photography. And it was super fun, but it also, like, I haven't done event photography since I was working the nightclubs in Toronto back in, like, 2016. So I'm a little bit rusty. Cool, I'm glad you like them. Ah.
Perfect. Anyway,
So,
we'll move on from that then.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but that's good though. I still remember your club photography days because I also work in the club, so we get it.
In the club.
In the
Yeah,
club.
no,
Mhm.
I'm so glad I'm done that. Never again. Never ever. But anyways, yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing recently and just getting my little setup organized. But what about you? What have you been up to other than preparing to move?
Well, in the meantime, I've actually created a website for us. So PremoDonnas.com is live and ready and has all of the episodes uploaded there so you can view them quickly or view them in their entirety on the website. What's also cool is that I have started to write concert reviews. And
Yes.
if I accept this next one, that will be 3 concerts that I still have to review. But there is one currently on the website right now. We went to see The Plot in You, Boundaries, Acres, and, Holding Absence, which was an amazing show, a super amazing show. I only knew a couple of
Okay.
songs from all of them, but together they made a really good show. So read all about it on PremoDonnas.com. That's once again
Yes.
PremoDonnas.com.
I'll
And
put
if
it on the screen for everyone.
yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I just think we could add a little bit more to the community with like concert reviews, maybe some album reviews, which we're kind of doing today. Yeah, I went to see The Plot in You, and then I went to see Lolo last Friday, which is really cool. Lolo, I knew about from All Your Friends Fest, actually.
Oh, did they perform there?
She did, yeah, yeah, and, it was her last show when I saw her, and she was saying how she was always the opener and never the main act, and how she was so proud that this was her tour and that she's finally gotten to do it, so it made me shed a little tear. It was like, "You go, girl. We love you, Lolo."
Okay, so Lolo, you went to the show,
Mhm.
and I edited some photos that you had sent me because your photographer ended up bailing, right?
No, it happened so last minute that I didn't really have enough time to reach out to anybody, be like, "Hey, do you wanna come to this concert with me?" Also, it was at Velvet Underground, and I know from going to shows there, there's not really a photo pit place. It's just kind of
Mhm.
like crowd. So, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna be in the crowd anyway. I might as well just try it." And me saying this, I have no real photography skills other than taking photos of myself for Instagram. So, like, I'm not qualified really to do this,
I
but
mean, I have imparted much wisdom upon you in our time.
you
I feel
have.
like
Have I absorbed it? No.
I mean, I think you did a great job. I think you did a
Thank
great
you.
job. When the review goes live, definitely go check it out on the website, PremoDonnas.com, and then you can see some of the photos along with the article that, you've written. And
Yeah.
because I think they're pretty good. I think you did a really good job for being, like, an amateur.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I did not know what any of the settings meant on my camera. But we went with the auto settings. I fiddled around with the little thing and hoped for the fucking best. And you know what? I did get the one photo that I really liked that I took is the one where her hair's in her face
Yeah,
when
just,
she's,
like,
like,
whipping
singing.
him
I was like,
around.
"Ah, this looks like a stock photo, like, it's good."
It is really good, and you got a couple of their opener, or maybe it was
Gus, yeah.
yeah, with a guitarist. And like I think you did a really good job for being in a really dark environment where you had no control over light.
Thank you. And I tried to, like,
Yeah.
wait. I heard, like, the first verse of the song, and I would, like, wait until the chorus and wait until I knew her mouth was gonna be open for longer or, like I'm really sad too because a couple of the photos, I did have to delete them, but she was looking, like, dead in the camera. She's
Oh
probably
yeah.
like,
And it
"Who's
just
got
like
this?" They just didn't, like, look very good. I also took some of the worst pictures of her ever because she was very, very bouncy and very, very not still.
energy.
Her energy was amazing, but, my skills were not up to the task. I tried to do continuous shot, but it didn't work out. But if you wanna hear more tips on concert photography, we do have an episode with, acronym is Amy Nicole, so also
Yes.
on
That's a good
the
one.
website.
We want to drive those clicks. Drive the
We wanna
clicks.
drive the clicks, please. I worked so hard to get that website live.
Speaking of clicks, we recently had a TikTok go viral.
We did.
I mean, I guess if that's what you want to call it. I don't even
I mean,
know.
okay, so I feel like viral is 500,000 views.
Okay.
That's, like, my standard for virality, but we got 150 over 150,000, which was it's still not a little, it's a lot.
That's a lot. Like I think I even texted you this the other day, I'm pretty sure. I have never had a piece of media that I was involved in creating be viewed by that many people, or at least viewed that many times. That's
Mhm.
insane to me. I know this is, like, all commonplace for you because 'cause you're just used to it, but, like, I'm, like, mind blown over here. Like, "What the fuck? Really?" Excuse my
It's not
language, but
no, it's
honestly.
fine. It's not that I'm used to it, it's just that, like, I feel sometimes as a creator, once you hit certain view milestones, like 1,000,000, 5,000,000, that kinda thing, everything you create, you feel like you have to constantly, like, meet that threshold. So when a video doesn't hit at least 10K views is what I want the average to be. It's impossible because the algorithms are so hard to please these days. But anyways, it did hit a lot of, it hit a lot of For You pages, and a lot of people had a lot of things to say.
Yeah, the comment section was ablaze.
Mhm.
It was on fire with many opinions, um, some which were, like, totally reasonable and understandable, and then some that were uneducated. But I guess that's the internet, what can you expect?
That's the internet. Scrolling through some of them, it was great because I didn't have to argue with anybody. People were just
They agree with
arguing with each
themselves.
other, and I'm like, "Oh, great. I don't need to be a part of this at all." It's also
Yeah,
hilarious how people don't take in context. Like, they're like, "Oh, you were talking about this, but you didn't talk about this." It's like, "Yeah, because we were talking about this."
and also, go watch the episode, maybe we did talk about that.
Maybe we did. Maybe we
Y come
did.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was exciting to see that number rise so rapidly because it was literally over the course of 2 or 3 days.
Mhm, mhm.
And I guess we can just say for anyone who has seen that, the goal of the episode wasn't to, like, rage bait. We were just literally talking about, like, situations that had occurred. Admittedly, maybe a little bit sensitive situations, but, like, our goal was literally just to learn about it and have discussion, which I think we effectively did.
I think so too. I'm not mad about it. I don't think anything was done wrong. People just like to have opinions on things, and that's fine. Everyone is entitled to that.
You're entitled to your opinion as long as it's not hateful to someone else,
Exactly. I also
right?
wanna talk about something else that hit a lot of big numbers, virality, if you will, this week.
Okay.
For my metal fans, for my Sleep Token fans, for my worshipers, obviously, Sleep Token have announced a new offering in the form of Emergence. I am going to, skim the Forbes article by Quentin Singer here. Emergence is the band's new single and first release since their critically acclaimed LP, Take Me Back to Eden, ranking up 1.3 million views on the visualizer video in 48 hours, taking the #1 Billboard spot from none other than Selena
Selena.
Gomez.
Oh my
You gotta watch out for
gosh, and
Selena.
Benny.
And
And Benny,
Benny,
right?
yeah,
The
and
single they did
Benny.
together, the album they've done together or whatever. I haven't actually
Mhm.
listened to it, but, like, props to her.
Knocked off the #1 spot by Sleep Token.
That's
And
crazy, actually. In
I
the pop
know,
charts?
it just, like, in the Billboard charts.
That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
for
and
them. Good for you,
I'm not
Sleep
done.
Token.
I'm not done, baby.
Okay, hit me with it. Hit me.
Okay. Alongside this release, Sleep Token have also announced their forthcoming studio album, Even in Arcadia, coming out May 9th and a US arena tour in support of this new era. Some venues included in the tour even went to social media and changed their profile pictures to the band's new logo. And, of course, Vessel blessed us all with a picture of him in the new green and gold robe, resting a sword on his shoulder as if signifying that a battle is coming. Those were my own words. That's not from the
Okay,
article.
wait. I want to understand a bit better. So, like, okay, full disclosure, I don't know who Sleep Token is. I'm so sorry.
I know, and that's okay. Honestly, I feel like I won't get into too much of the lore in this episode. I feel like we should have an episode purely for the Sleep Token lore and maybe get someone who's a little bit better with it on because it goes so deep and it is so interesting. Like, you don't know anything about Sleep Token, right?
No, I'm gathering that they're theatrical because of
Girl, they're
this image
so
you've.
theatrical. They wear masks. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna show you a picture of Vessel.
Okay.
We're gonna get a live reaction to you seeing Vessel for the first time. I actually
Okay.
don't know how to send it to you.
Let's see here. Images. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Hot.
like otherworldly.
Exactly.
It's like very alien in a way. Like
Kind of.
alien demon from another realm gonna come kill you.
Yes, from another realm, very much that. I'll make you listen to Sleep Token for the lore episode. Maybe we'll do like a reaction video. But with this release of the song and the arena tour, the worshippers were introduced to two houses, House of Viridian or Feathered Host. Each came with a choice. The house must endure or the cycle must end. So like they drop so much lore and like their fans are, I don't want to use the word crazy because they're not. They are devoted. I will say that. They are
Devoted.
they are very devoted. Um and I think it's such a cool rabbit hole to go down into. I love Sleep Token so much. They are a band that are on my list to see so badly because I'm trying to like compare them to a band that you would kind of understand, but they don't. They're not like anybody else.
Totally new. Never been done before. Unique.
Not really. Not really. Like it's just I don't know how to describe it. But I also, sorry, I know I'm yapping. If you have an iPhone, I do not have an Android, so I don't know if this feature also exists on Android. But there is a feature on iPhones called background noises.
Yeah.
And if you want to enhance your Sleep Token listening experience, if you have Spotify or Apple Music, you can add background noises to stuff that's already playing. So the background noise will play over top of what you're already listening to.
Right.
And so I'm gonna shout out Audrey Yancey on Facebook on the group. I don't know what group it is. I'm so sorry, but I saw her post about this. If you have background sounds of rain, it goes really good with the Sleep Token song Rain, obviously. Ocean sounds really good with the song Atlantic. And fire goes amazing with Chokehold. I have personally tested all of these and I can confirm it's amazing.
Okay.
It just adds a little bit of like ear
Texture.
candy texture, ear candy, yeah, to like the song. I personally love it. There are a
Add
bunch of
some
different options.
atmosphere.
It's an atmosphere, yeah. I highly recommend it. And,
Okay. I
I
might
think
try
that's
that
it.
actually. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I didn't know you could play it simultaneously. I
No,
thought it was
I
like
didn't
one
know
or
that
the
was a
other.
thing.
But yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool, and you can change the volume on it, so it can be like super loud or it can be quiet, just a little rain pattering in the background.
Well, there.
So
I
good.
love me a good rainstorm rain track. I sleep with one.
There you go. There you
Love it.
go.
I'll just listen to some like hardcore metal while I'm trying to sleep.
It's not like hardcore. Like he does have they have some moments of like, but not really. It's very
Okay.
melodic, it's very theatrical, they're full of surprises. They add, like, saxophone in their songs sometimes. It's
Okay. Okay.
I'm so excited to be showing you this.
I do you know me, I love some, sonic exploration. So like
Mhm.
And I also personally really do love the theatrics of it all. When you say, I mean, obviously I saw the photo, but like, would you say their theatrics is like to the level that Panic was at for a time, or is it beyond that?
I say it's fully beyond that. Like, with Sleep Token, they kind of force you to be immersed into their lore, and as well as making music, I think they also have, like, a graphic novel series.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's just, like, other media that kind of relates to everything, and there's the story of Vessel, who's obviously the main singer, and Sleep, who is what seems to be, like, the antagonist of the story slash, like, lover. So
Okay.
there's a lot of, like,
So
emotions
there's
that
different
wrap around
characters
this.
happening here.
There's different characters, there's a world. None of the band members have names. It's, like, 2, 3, and 4, maybe? Like, those are their names.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and
So they're just
they all wear
identified by a
masks.
number.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Interesting.
I think we
I
need to do
feel
a
like
Sleep
that
Token
could be my
episode.
vibe.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. There was one
Okay.
song, you know
Okay.
what? I'm gonna out myself here, but I dabbled in, a certain, do I use the word drug? I'll just say the word drug. It was, like, coming down from it, and I was at home, and I was eating some dill pickle chips, and I love listening to music after it makes the whole experience amazing. But I had Jaws by Sleep Token play, and I had never heard that song before, and when I tell you I was dancing in my kitchen like a fucking prima ballerina. No ballet experience, but just, like, it changed my entire life is a little bit dramatic, but it was so good. I will never
In
forget
that
how I
moment,
felt.
it was an
Yeah,
experience.
and for now, like, that song will always, like, be a part of me.
It's ingrained into your
It's
very
secret.
being.
Anyway, you can tell that I really like Sleep Token, but that's all I have, really,
I feel
about
like we should have
this.
a listening party next week when I come visit.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess this is as good a time as any to let everybody know. So next week I'm going to be visiting Imperium in the city. So we are actually going to skip next week's episode. We're going to film, but it won't be releasing on next Thursday because I'll be without a computer for editing. And so we'll pick up the following week, just as a heads up for everybody. Do you have anything more to add about Sleep Token?
No, that is I will shut my trap, about Sleep Token for now.
For now, we will revisit it.
Yes, we will
Okay, so
revisit it.
just to recap, when does this new album come out from them?
Comes out May 9th.
May 9th. Okay, so like
Yep.
soon.
Yep.
That's exciting. I have um a new album that I was also hoping to speak about. It seems like every gay on the internet has already done this breakdown, but we'll be doing it again here. It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even
But of
matter.
course, Lady Gaga released LG7, her seventh studio album, also known as Mayhem, on March 7th. So a couple weeks ago.
Also,
I've had
sorry,
plenty of,
the LG7 on the 7th? Genius.
right?
Genius.
Marketing. Marketing.
Marketing. We love.
But yeah, no, I've had plenty of time to sit with the album and listen to it front to back several times. I'll preface that we're going to kind of skim through. Maybe we can do a listening party next week as well for Mayhem. We'll see. But I'm not going to be talking about the extra tracks. So if you are a streaming only girly, you need to know that when they released the physical album, there were a few secret songs on the CD, and then there was a couple secret tracks on the like record that they released. So they're not on streaming. I think there's 3 or 4 songs. I won't be talking about them because I actually haven't listened to them. You can go on find them on YouTube and stuff. People have uploaded them. Um, but to me, it's clear that she's going to release a deluxe album with those tracks included at some point, probably. So I won't be talking about those ones because I haven't heard them yet. But yeah, no, this album. First of all, have you listened to it? Have you heard it?
So, here's the thing. I have heard Abracadabra,
Of
obviously,
course.
and something about time. There was a time one. It was on my
Oh,
release radar, and it was okay. It didn't hit me in the way that I was hoping to, but Abracadabra was amazing, and Disease, obviously. I'm assuming that that's on the new album.
Yeah, yeah.
Those 2
Disease
were
and
bangers.
Abracadabra are the first 2 tracks, actually.
Do you know what those 2 actually kind of actually, you know what Abracadabra more so reminded me of?
Hmm.
Art Pop.
Yes, it
I
was
feel like
very art pop coded.
Abracadabra could have been on Art Pop, and if I could chime in,
Yes.
Art Pop is so underrated. I feel like I've said this on another
Yes.
episode, but I will
It
say
was
it
before its
again.
time.
It was way before its time. When people were,
Yeah.
like, dissing it, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" With Zed,
Yeah, Zed, come on. Come on, right?
it was
I
like the
think
end of the EDM craze, I think, is when it came out, and then people
yeah,
were kind of tired of hearing that, but, like, GUY, Swine,
amazing, amazing.
genius, genius. Tell us more about Mayhem, but go.
Oh, Mayhem. It's the mayhem of it all. No, so yeah, Disease and Abracadabra open the album, and they're very, very evidently and very clearly a callback to Gaga's former career with the Fame Monster, and even the Born This Way era, as well as, like you said, the art pop era, with Abracadabra. It's it was our first little taste, and this is not an unfortunate thing. I did watch, Lady Gaga did an interview with Apple Music and Zane Lowe, about the album, I think a day or 2 before it came out, and I sat down and I watched the entirety of it. It was quite long, actually. Um, but she, like, really, like, dove deep and, like, talked about the album and its influences and things like that. But in my opinion, Disease and Abracadabra were the 2 singles prior to the release of the full album, and she kinda pulled a Joanne on us. So if you remember back to her album Joanne, she released the single Perfect Illusion first. And it
Mhm.
was more of a rock inspired song, but it still had a danceability to it and it was still kind of higher energy. And then the rest of the album came out and it was nothing like that song.
Oh, it was kinda
This
like the
is
Imagine Dragons of it all.
yeah,
'Cause
kind of,
they
yeah.
released Radioactive, and then it was like, "I'm on top of the world, eh," and I was like, "Excuse me, where is this dark post-apocalyptic rock that you've promised us, and you're giving
Yeah,
us this weird Irish jig instead?" This Gap commercial fucking Irish jig. Anyway.
yeah. So like this album kind of I think this album kind of suffered from that as well. Like the singles don't really reflect the overall sonic profile of the album. Um, and the album almost exists in like 2 halves. The first half of it is a little bit more of a harken back to the old Lady Gaga that we kind of grew up with, that we, love and cherish. The Gaga who was okay with being weird for the sake of being weird, and for being eccentric for the sake of it kind of a thing, for the sake of art, if you will. Um,
Art.
so yeah, Disease and Abracadabra definitely, like, fall into that. With Disease, Gaga kind of personifies the idea of being a cure for somebody's kind of ailment, right? The need for more of her music, or maybe it's something else. She's filling a need for us, and she's kind of presenting herself as that solution. I think it kind of calls back to the single she released a few summers ago called "The Cure," if you remember that one. But yeah, no, the that one's kind of it's a really good opener, I feel, for the narrative of the album. And then Abracadabra, of course, is that high energy, danceable song that's kind of supposed to get your blood pumping, get you moving. But if you look at its themes, especially in the music video, she challenges the listener with a choice. It's either dance or die. And in the interview she did with Zane Lowe, she discussed how it's not really a choice between like dancing and dying. She presents a new character for us, the Lady in Red, in the music video, who's kind of overseeing Gaga in a different white outfit, dancing with a bunch of people. And this Lady in Red is kind of supposed to be a representation of the character that she's created throughout her career. And so it's quite interesting to see that interplay back and forth. And I think that the song has, for lack of a better word, no pun intended, but it has enough mayhem in it
Mm.
that it like kind of can be almost a little bit confusing, right? The song has a chanting kind of chorus to it. She's saying, abracadabra and speaking seemingly in tongues. And it's supposed to be like this idea that she's casting a spell on the listener in a way. So I thought that was like very old school Gaga, very theatrical, very different.
Speaking of old school Gaga, can you explain to the listeners or, anybody who didn't know about reheating nachos?
Oh my god, the nachos. So th- this meme, for lack of a better word, is I think dead at this point. But I only recently heard about it because I'm, a millennial and not chronically online. But basically, Twitter users and people online were saying that Gaga was reheating her old nachos. And essentially, she's taking something that she's done previously and representing it, like repackaging it. But it can also be done and used in a different way, in a negative light, in the sense that you could say artist A is reheating the nachos of artist B. And generally, when you reheat nachos, if you've ever reheated nachos, they always go soggy,
They're never good.
right? So it's a way of saying, like, Tate McRae is reheating Britney's nachos. And she's probably not doing, and like, she's not doing as good of a job, essentially, because they're soggy nachos. So that's the nachos meme, if you didn't know about it. I stumbled upon it and I was immediately like, fuck, this generation is messed up. But like, whatever.
We can't have nice things anymore. We always have to
No, we
be
can't have nice
critiquing or
things.
making fun of people.
Right? And even when somebody's putting out like good work. Now, I will say, I recently learned that Tate McRae, are you familiar with her?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, Greedy, a couple of other songs.
Mhm.
Um, I think she's really talented and she's a great dancer. I didn't know she's Canadian.
Yeah, and she, I feel like she was either a backup dancer for Justin Bieber.
Okay.
So she's kind of been, like, in the industry adjacent to all of this, and, like, now is kind of her time to
Oh
shine
yeah,
and do
she's
her own
released
thing.
previous albums. Like this newest
Mhm.
album she releases like her third.
Yeah. Same with
And it just
Sabrina
harkens
Carpenter.
back. Yeah, exactly, right?
Mhm.
Sabrina popped off with Espresso and everybody was like, "Oh my god, I love this girl. Who is she?" And it's like she was a Disney kid
She's like, "I've
a
been
decade
here,
ago.
guys. I've been here."
Yeah, it really goes to prove again, like Chaperone said, it takes 10 years to become an overnight sensation, right? It's really all about like finding that appropriate sound for you and your audience. And I think that with these new Gen Z pop girlies, a lot of them have had to like spend a little bit more time because they aren't as manufactured as say someone like Britney was, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Like we love Britney, we stand Britney, don't get me wrong here. But at the same time, yeah, I didn't know she was Canadian. So that I'm like, okay, Canada first. There we go. But anyways, going back to Mayhem. So the third track is called Garden of Eden. So this is obviously a callback to the biblical story of the Garden of Eden. Are you familiar where Eve eats the apple because the snake told her to, but the snake was actually the devil?
Yeah, of course, girl. My grandma was Christian. She put the fear of God in me.
Ha! But yeah, no, it's really cool. It calls back, in my opinion, sonically, it calls back to like the Fame Monster era. It's quite dark, heavy, distorted synths, a lot of grinding bass lines, um, things like that. And then the chorus actually breaks into a bit of like an airier, lighter tone, almost as to kind of give the listener a bit of a reprieve because it's so heavy otherwise.
Mm.
Um, and essentially, in the song, Gaga lyrically assumes the role of the snake, which was the devil, right? The temptress, the one that's, causing humanity to make mistakes, I guess you could say. Um, and she tempts the listener to take a bite of the poison apple. She sings, I could be your girlfriend for the weekend. You could be my boyfriend for the night, giving the listener the impression that even in this like holy place, like the Garden of Eden, that there's still space to not take things too seriously and to be a bit superficial about something.
Seriously, like a snake and superficial, like a snake. Sorry, I'm in such a goofy, funky mood right now.
It's okay. It's okay. You're in the process of moving. You guys can't see it, but like she's currently sitting in like a hoarder's paradise right now, just surrounded by things.
It's true.
So,
I'm waiting to see the camera crew bust through my door and be like, "I have 2 got junk trailers outside."
right? Oh my gosh. Um so the next song, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about Garden of Eden. The next song is called Perfect Celebrity. Sonically, to me, this feels like it could be the brother or sister of Perfect Illusion from Joanne. It's got a rock sound to it. It's got a lot of heavy guitars that are distorted, synths, and everything that you would expect from Gaga. Um, The chorus she sings, "You'd love to hate me, I'm the perfect celebrity," alluding to the mega superstar character of Lady Gaga that she had created. And she adds, "Find my clone, she's asleep on the ceiling." And in the Zane Lowe interview she did with Apple Music, she discussed how that's supposed to be a reference to how when she goes into any given situation now, be it a business situation, a music situation, or just like meeting somebody, she kind of has to choose between her true self and this character that she's created. And she said, like, sometimes it's beneficial for me to lean on that character. Other times it doesn't feel genuine to me anymore. So she's kind of creating this narrative that she's not dissatisfied with the character that she's created, but she's cognizant of the fact that it's maybe not a good representation of who she truly is.
Yeah, it's just a
Um,
fragment.
yeah, a fragment, but it's a fragment that's kind of developed a life of its own in a
Mhm.
way, right? So I thought that was really cool. It's a really good song. You should listen to it. The next one's called Vanish Into You, and this is when the sonically things start to change a little bit. There's a lot more funk references. And Bruno Mars was actually a producer on this album. And I believe he worked on a lot of the more funk-inspired songs. It's not really overwhelming or anything. Like, it's not like a funk disco track by any means, but you can tell that there's the funk guitars and the funk bass lines in there. A little bit twangy almost.
Uptown, funk you up. Uptown,
Very
funk you
that.
up.
Very, very that energy. Not quite the same, but similar.
Mhm.
But she sings, "Saw your face in mine in a picture by our bedside," suggesting that the song's about someone dear to her, likely her husband. And she asks, "Can I vanish into you?" Suggesting that she's found someone who she trusts enough to kind of let go of that character and like just be real with.
Mm,
Which
mhm.
I love. I love that for her. I just want the girl to be happy and to make good art that she's proud of and that she loves. And it seems like her husband, I believe his name is Michael, really kind of encouraged her for this album. Like, it's okay for you to do the pop thing again. Like, that's what you're good at. So that's kind of why she leaned more into it. But yeah, that's a good
Supportive
one. And
king.
the next one is called Killa, Killah. It's the only song featuring another artist other than the Bruno Mars song at the end. They're called Galfelstein, I believe. It's a German word. I
Oh,
apologize if I
yeah,
butchered it.
Glaffelstein. Yeah, I know them.
You
J
do?
j yeah. I
They're a
totally butchered the name
producer.
as well.
He's a French producer and songwriter. I had never
Yeah.
heard of him before.
He's, like, friends with
Um,
Madeon.
well, there you go. That would make sense from
Yeah, because
France, right?
Madeon's also French.
Yeah. But apparently his name is like a portmanteau of some German word with Einstein. So that's kind of cool. But
'Kay.
anyways, this one is another funk heavy song about sex, like as you'd expect.
Go
It's
figure.
very Gaga. There's a plucky electric guitar that really gives the track energy, but it's only 94 beats per minute. So for anyone not
Mm,
familiar, most dance and pop music, especially if it's dance music, falls anywhere from between like 128 BPM up to like 140. So the guitar is doing a lot of extra work simply by being like plucky, which is really cool sonically. Yeah, other than that, it's yeah, a song about sex, which like is kind of expected for Gaga at this point, like, right?
I won't say
Um,
no.
right. This next one, I think you would like this one. Maybe not the song itself, but I think you'll like the like tribute of it all. So this seventh track is called Zombie Boy, and
Oh.
it's supposed to be a reference and tribute to her former collaborator, Rick Gnest.
Yeah, the zombie boy, the guy with the tattooed
The
whole face and
tattoos of
body.
all of
Yeah.
his skeletons and stuff.
Mhm.
He was also known as Zombie Boy, obviously. He's actually a Canadian artist who gained attention because of his full face and body tattoos depicting the human skeleton. He
Mhm.
actually held the Guinness World Record for the most tattoos of the human skeleton.
He's so hot.
He was hot in like
He
a
was
dangerous
hot.
way,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunately, he did pass away. Well, a few years ago, I don't remember the date exactly, but he was featured in Lady Gaga's iconic Born This Way music video. And so she wanted to kind of pay tribute to him with this song. The track carries over the funk inspired sound with some chimes and light twinkling synths, which is really quite nice. and its production is really slick and easy to listen to. That's the one thing I would say overall describing this album is that it's very listenable. It's almost as if it was designed to be radio played because I feel
Mm.
like other than maybe the songs about sex specifically, there's a lot of songs that are kind of ambiguous, and if you didn't know the background and you were just listening to it, you could probably make connections to it in your own way without knowing any of the details. And in my opinion, that's a sign of a good album, right? The next one, Love Drug. It takes a sonic shift. The electric guitars and strong bass are still prominently featured, but they take the form of a more classic rock sound. And this is where the album starts to kind of pivot a little bit sonically, and it's less dancey electropop and more harder sounds, and it's like real instruments, I guess is the easiest way of saying it.
Okay.
Um, versus like synthetic digital instruments that have just been like keyed in. You
Mhm.
can tell that these are recorded sounds that are then processed, which is kind of cool. In the Love Drug, it's the equivalent of the Crying on the Dance Floor song, has a nostalgic and reflective quality to it, almost if Gaga is yearning for better times from the past. This is a very Gaga-ism thing, syncopated lyrics. So anybody who's not familiar with syncopation, I might be saying it wrong, syncopation. But essentially it's when you pronounce words in rhythm, but break them up. So you might say superficial instead of superficial.
K-pop groups
Um,
love to use this.
yeah, this is a very, very common trope in pop music as a whole. But yes, we see a lot of it in K-pop and higher energy dance songs that have lyrics. A lot of the time, syncopation is a key factor in it. So yeah, the syncopated lyrics in the chorus bring that quintessential Gaga flair, while the electric guitar builds towards the end of the song and kind of has more of a rock solo kind of situation. It's giving glam rock. I love
Ooh,
it. I love
okay.
it.
But do you love
um,
it?
I I love it. Um, the next one, How Bad Do You Want Me? So this one is a little bit tricky, okay? Fans, the netizens online, as they say in the K-pop world, fans have said this song sounds like something Taylor Swift might release. And I can see why. I can see why. How Bad Do You Want Me is the title of the song. It's notable in the vocal presentation because there's like chanty lyrics that kind of harken back to Taylor's Reputation and Red era. It's
Mm.
very like all your girls singing together kind of a thing. It's got some 80s inspired drums, ping pong synths, and the syncopation is featured again really prominently. Gaga asked the subject of the song, How Bad Do You Want Me? Trying to get clarification about the state of the relationship that she's in. The other woman seems to be Gaga herself, again, echoing the contrast between her true self and that like artist creation she's made. Super deep if you look into it, but again, super listenable if you weren't educated on it. The next one, Don't Call Tonight, another really easy listening song with a twangy guitar. It features claps and layered vocals. So a lot of clap chanting, things like that. The plucky guitar gives the song energy, and the bridge breaks into like a vocoder effect, which is very reminiscent of Daft Punk, like super reminiscent of
Oh,
Daft
like,
Punk.
the voice boxy kinda sound?
Exactly.
Chromeo-esque?
Yes, Chromeo-esque, 100%. I immediately thought Daft Punk. It again brings some of the classic Gaga-isms of the Fame and the Fame Monster era into this era. So I thought that was like a nice little fan service for her fans. The next one is called Shadow of a Man. This song is another tricky one. This song is very, very evidently and clearly inspired by Michael Jackson. Gaga even alters the way that she sings in order to emulate the way that he sung. If you listen to it, it was very evident that that's kind of the influence. And there's also a lot of syncopation, which Michael Jackson was very known for. Thriller had a lot of syncopation in it, and Billie Jean is a good one that's had a lot of syncopation. But anyways, the track is a commentary on how Gaga feels like she has to live in the shadow of her male collaborators and the label men that she works underneath. She sings,
Mm.
I'll dance in the shadow of a man, speaking about how throughout her career, despite feeling like she didn't necessarily have full creative control or freedom, she would still perform and give it her all for her fans. sh she was willing to kind of make that sacrifice in order to be able to perform. And I just think that's super deep. That's just me though. Like who the fuck is writing music about like what the hell? Right? Like obviously she's talking about her experiences and it feels very personal while still also again being really listenable and radio friendly. We're almost done. The Beast, track 12. It's the first ballad on the album and it's a metaphor about a werewolf,
We love.
which the werewolf kind of represents her persona and the perspective is swapped to be about someone else, but Gaga gives her lover or the listener to release the beast or darkness within them. I think the song is actually quite beautiful. Online, it's kind of getting mixed reviews because it is a little bit of a slower track, but Gaga's strong vocal really cuts through the heavy, distorted guitars, and lyrically, it could be a follow-up track to Edge of Glory, in my opinion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got a little bit of an 80s vibe to it as well with the drums. And yeah, it's highly recommend. Two more. The 13th song, it's called Blade of Grass. This is the second ballad on the album, which personally, I don't know if it was the best choice to put two ballads next to each other.
I was gonna say that's a interesting order, but
Yeah, and when I say they're ballads, they're not like slow like Adele ballads. They're still like mid-tempo, like they have some movement to them and some energy to them, but they're very clearly more about the vocal performance that Gaga is giving. It's a love song dedicated to her husband, and it's about the process of him proposing to her. And on the Zane Lowe interview that she did, she talked about this, and it's directly inspired by her and her now husband were sitting in her backyard or something, and he asked her, like, if I was going to propose to you, how would you want me to propose to you? And she said, I guess she just picked a blade of grass and said, like, tied around my finger, kind of a thing. Which is like,
lame.
that's so cute.
Ew.
You think it's
No.
lame?
So lame.
I think it's cute.
You need to put in
Right?
more effort.
um, it's honestly, it's not my favorite song on the album. I would say it's probably my least favorite. It has a melancholic tone to it that's reflective and introspective, but it's well written. It's just not my favorite necessarily. And then finally, the album closes out with Die With a Smile featuring Bruno Mars, which was a single ahead of
Banger.
time.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate karaoke song, in my opinion.
It
It's in the perfect key
100%.
for most people to sing.
Mhm.
Even though it still has highs and lows to it, it's an easier track, perhaps. I mean, I say that, but like I also would not be up here trying to perform it.
Give me
um,
2 drinks.
exactly, right? But I personally feel like this track is going to be timeless moving forward. It features Bruno Mars, obviously, who adds to the composition with his strong but kind of softer vocals. And it's a love song about following your true love to the end of the world, essentially.
Mhm.
And yeah, definitely a new karaoke song for a new generation, fully. And the track also works really well for wrapping up the album, right? At the beginning of Abracadabra, she tells us that it's dance or die. But then throughout the album, you kind of begin to recognize that it's more about the choice to love or the choice not to love. And so wrapping the album up with a song about following your love to the end of the earth is a really nice little bow on the end of it, I think.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the album, and it really feels like she's come full circle. She's tapping into old references that her fan base can recognize easily and tell like, oh, this was clearly inspired by The Fame or art pop, but then at the same time has a level of maturity to it and easy listening to it that I think could really appeal to kind of a general audience as well. So I'm excited for her. I don't know if she's gonna be going on tour. She might be, but she has expressed that, like a lot of artists, like Miley Cyrus, for example, has stated that she's not going to tour anymore. And a bunch of other artists have said that, like, it takes too much out of you.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. They all say that, and then they cash in on the farewell tour, which is fine, but, like, don't think that I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know, not that Miley will ever hear this or ever see this, but Miley, if you're listening, I would pay good fucking money to come see you at a show where you maybe one song per show, you did like a throwback re-release or re-recording of one of your Hannah Montana songs. I would live. I would live.
Yeah,
Live.
there's definitely some potential for that. I wanna
Right?
know, are you going to eat Gaga's reheated nachos?
I've already eaten Gaga's nachos. I can attest that they were not soggy. They were in fact crispy and delicious. She used an air fryer. And no, I'm really happy with this album. I think it gave diehard old school Lady Gaga fans kind of the energy and vibe that they wanted, but then also showed like multi dimensions of her. And I also really appreciated that it's a theatrical album again because it's
Mhm.
so fun. It's so fun. And I don't know about you, but like I use music as a way of escaping reality,
Yeah.
right? Like we talk about emo music on here all the time. And like sometimes there's a time and a place where you like need to sit and ruminate on the shittiness that the world is. But then there's also a time and place where it's like, no, you know what? I'm going to be transported to this fantastical land where none of the issues of real life are applicable.
And I'm gonna dance.
I'm going to dance.
I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna dance.
Right?
Yeah.
So good. So good. So yeah, props to Gaga, props to her team. I'll also say Dr. Luke is not involved in this album at all. So like we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about anybody. Well, hopefully we don't have to worry about any of the people she collaborated with getting canceled or anything like that. But yeah, no, I'm really pleased with the album. And if you haven't given it a listen yet, I think you should.
I definitely will. I have a day off tomorrow, and I plan to just continue packing and getting my shit together.
Yes. Yes. When do you like officially like when's the move date?
Sunday.
Gosh, what is that?
It's it's Tuesday today, so
I know I'm looking at the calendar.
oh,
Sunday, so the 23rd.
mhm. But yeah, I have still have a lot to do, and there's been so many other, like, little tasks that I've had to do in the meantime. Like, before this episode, for instance, we were supposed to film at 8, and then I got a self-tape request from my agent, and I was like, "Ah!" But it was
Can you say what
fine.
it was for or no?
I don't know what it's for, but they asked for, a female voice, but to try and emulate a 11 to 15-year-old boy, and I was like, "This is my time. This is my time."
You're gonna be the Ash Ketchum of whatever series this
I
is.
hope so. I honestly, like, of course, every time I do a self-tape, I'm like, "Fuck, I really want this job." But this one, I feel like I just I want it so bad because it's perfect. It was, like, perfectly in my range. I had so much fun reading the script, and I just like, ugh. So everybody please put out your manifesting vibes of me
Send
getting
up the
this
good
job. I
energies.
also oh my god, I forgot to well, we didn't film, so I didn't tell you, but I did another self-tape this week that was ugh. So sometimes when they send you self-tapes, you'll get, like, a voice reference, what they're kind of
Right.
hoping for, what they want to sound like. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just like, "Do it, and if we like it, we'll get back to you." This one, they sent a reference, and I click on the
Okay.
link. It's Miss Rachel.
No. No, no, no. Oh my god,
It
no.
so it was toddler TV,
Yeah. Oh my
and
gosh.
I was like, "What? Everything is so exciting!" Like, it was just you had to be so over the fucking top, and I was like, "I don't know if I can do this." And then I just sunk into it. I did a couple takes, I hated it, and then I was like, "Listen, this shit is lucrative. If you can get into the toddler TV VO, you're set." So I was like, "Alright."
Money.
I went back to being a small child and watching Barney. I was like, "How would Barney/Excited People on Sesame Street talk to you?"
Literally.
I locked
Literally, yeah.
in. I locked in. So I haven't heard back from that one either, but
Putting it out there into the world. It's gonna happen.
it
It's
is
gonna
gonna happen.
happen.
It is gonna happen. Any wrapping up thoughts? I feel like we've had a good little run.
We've we've had a good chat. We
Mhm.
have.
I'm excited to
Um,
see you in person next week.
Me too. I'm so excited to see. For anyone who hasn't been keeping track, I moved away from the city in like February, so like almost 2 months ago,
Mhm.
and we have not seen each other in person since then, and it's been difficult.
It's been very difficult. I
It's
know,
been
I know.
difficult, been a little sad. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to see your new place. I'm excited to do a listening party of Sleep Token.
Hell
It's gonna
yeah!
be a good time. It's gonna
Hell
be a good
yeah!
time.
Hell yeah!
Um, but yeah, no, I think the only thing to say is if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you give us a like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to give us a rating because that's super helpful. And also make sure you go check out PremoDonnas.com
I
so
don't
you
know if
can
we
check
said this
out
already, but PremoDonnas.com.
PremoDonnas.com. Yeah, go check that out. Check out Imperium's writing, see what you think. You can also watch all of our episodes there as well. And, if anyone's listening and, wants to make a connection for potential media interviews or upcoming shows or anything like that, you can also email us,
I'm your
you know?
girl. I'm your girl. I can do it all, baby. I don't know why I
Yeah.
said it like that, but I can. Ugh. Okay, yeah. Thank you. We love you. Bye.
Bye. And reminder, we won't be back next week, but we will be back the week after that. So stick around. Bye.